welcome to the Polo GTI. So this is like the Polo 6. So here's the thing, right? Let's talk about the price of this car, because that seems to be the sensitive point that everybody's hung up about. This car is R500,000, and that's before you've added anything. That's before you've paid any kind of on-road fees. And if you want one in a hurry, because there's not a lot of them, then you're probably going to pay a bit more. Is it worth it? I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I'd say yeah, it's worth R500,000. This is fantastic. So let's do a quick walk around on the outside of the Polo. These lights on the front, if you go watch some of my shorts, you'll see they actually light up right to the badge on either side. So it's kind of straight through. Down at the bottom here, you have the sort of honeycomb grille thing with lights in them. The Golf 8 has like a cluster of 4. The Polo has a cluster of 2. But this is very reminiscent of what they've done on the Golf 8 GTI. We've got these really cool 18-inch wheels with the red brake calipers. There are discs in the front and at the back, which is really nice. You obviously have your GTI decal badging over here. This is called King's Red, and the problem with the red GTI is that you can't see any of the GTI bits actually stand out. So if this car was white, for instance, that badge would stand out more, the calipers would stand out more. There's lots of red decals all around, like you'll see the badge at the back. This obviously is the new generation badging where they put the name sort of front and center. That would stand out if it was white. You've got dual tailpipes at the back here, just on the left, not on the right. The Golf GTI obviously has them on both. But all in all, this is like the same Polo that we're all used to. New light clusters at the back. So not a massive deviation from what the previous Polo looked like, but enough changes to make it look really cool. I've always loved the Polo, and I've loved the Polo because it's always had a little bit of character. Like a lot of the bigger cars are like really good. Golf 8 GTI is a really good car, but it just lacks that little bit of like unsettling, this car wants to kill you all the time kind of character, which this does. The very first Polo GTI I drove was back in 2010. That was 110 kilowatts out of a 2-liter engine. It was fantastic. It like torque steered like it was nobody's business. It went everywhere it shouldn't have gone. And it was just like I visibly remember driving that car over mountain passes and nearly dying like a few times. This kind of not as bad, but the front tires light up. If you turn traction control off, you go into launch control, and you step on it, there's wheel spin in the front, and there's like all kinds of stuff happening through the gears. And it's fun and it's memorable, and it's like small and light and agile, and you get so much feedback through the road. Like you're aware of where you are, you're aware of how you're driving. It's honestly such a fantastic little car. As I said, it's got a 2-liter engine in it. They've all had 2 liters in them. This one does 147 kilowatts and about 350 newton meters of torque, which is a lot for this car. But I will say this: it's been at the cookies, because it's put on a bit of weight. It now is probably the size of, I'd say, a Golf 4 or a Golf 5, and sort of similar kind of power. So thank you, kind sir. So like, just traction control's not even off, and it's just a little bit wet. Step on it and there's just the wheel spin. It's like, there's character here. This is one of the few cars you drive where you kind of come away from it like remembering it. And that's important. Like, I think we're so washed in a sea of cars that are all so similar and so bland in some ways, that like having a little car that's fun, and honestly this thing handles like it's possessed. This is such a good little car. Holy cow. So it is a little bit bloated, it is a little bit bigger and heavier than its predecessors, but like that happens to all the cars, it seems like. Every iteration of the new car is a little bit bigger, your 911s included. So that's to be expected. They've compensated with power, and obviously to keep the cost and the weight and all that good stuff down, they remove a lot of the really fancy technical bits that prevent the wheels from spinning at all. And I like that. Like, this is such a good drive. So there's a digital cluster there. You've obviously got your Apple CarPlay over there. All the controls on the steering wheel are pretty much exactly out of the Golf 8. They're all kind of haptic. It's one little cluster. You slide your finger up and down for volume, and you slide back and forth to skip. The whole instrument panel in the front here, where you adjust your climate control, all of that is also like one smooth cluster. There are no actual buttons. You kind of tap it or slide it. It's all kind of haptic and weird. And I'm not like a wild fan of it, but it is what it is. It's got that gorgeous DSG box in it. I am in sport mode. This car is just great fun to drive. The inside is good. It's a little bit more plastic than you'd like, but again, this is not Golf. And like, if you were gonna make this the same as the Golf, it would be a 700,000-800,000 rand car. Whether you love it or hate it, that's the reality of car manufacturing and costing and pricing. Now check this corner. Just, gosh, that's so good. So is the Polo GTI worth 500,000 rand? Absolutely. It is absolutely worth the money.